So we're in 2 lists already for the fall. Here's the last one. You know what to do. Welcome back, NYC Fragrance family. The last of the fall top 10 lists. Yes, designer. The ones that you go to Macy's, you go to the mall, the ones that the general public and people that are not frag heads like us gravitate towards, like, and enjoy. These are 10 from my collection. They're not the 10 best in the world, but they're ones that you can't go wrong, from 10 down through 1 and 1 back up through 10. They work well, they smell great, and they just do what they need to do. So let's get to it. Number 10. This one is a long time favorite for a lot of people. It's very popular, it's a crowd pleaser, maybe played out, but still gets the job done. Dolce & Gabbana The One EDT. You guys know this fragrance. I'm not going to get too deeply involved into the description of most of these designer fragrances. You know them. D&G The One, that DNA, classic, crowd pleasing, easy to wear. Number 10. And number 9, My House, or I call it My House, from the house of Dunhill, Icon Elite. Now, say Icon Elite, how come not the original Icon? Well, I don't know. I kind of like this extra suede note that this has. It's a little richer. To me, it's a little feeling of it being more upscale. And that's why I want this one in here instead of the normal, regular, standard Icon. Dunhill Icon Elite, number 9. Take it or leave it, but that's where I'm putting it. Number 8. Longtime favorite of mine, from the house of Bvlgari, comes Homme Soir. Now, Homme Soir is basically a tea fragrance. Now you say tea fragrance for the fall. This fragrance, when I wore it and I had it in my regular rotation, I wore it all year round. And it just so happens to work very well in the spring, and it works very well in the fall. So that's why it's at number 8 on this list. Bvlgari Homme Soir. Number 7, this one, a lot of people will consider this probably the best designer of all time, but I have it at number 7 on my list. For some reason, I like it, but I don't love it. So that's why it's a little higher on this list. And that is YSL's Lanaweed Alone. Now I have a newer formulation, so maybe that's why I don't love it. I have not gotten a chance to smell the original formulation, so I can't really say how I feel about that. But as far as this one goes, it's a number 7 fragrance for me, designer-wise, for the fall 2019. At number 6, another crowd-pleasing favorite, nice designer vanilla fragrance, probably for a younger person, but still a great fragrance, and that is Versace Eros. Now I know Versace Arrows Flame came out, so why Versace Arrows? Well, I don't have Arrows Flame. Will I get Arrows Flame? I did smell it, I do like it. You know, purchases are kind of slowing down for me to some degree right now, so I'm not out there getting everything under the sun like I was. But I think at some point I would like to add Arrows Flame. I know some people say, well, if you have Arrows, you don't need Arrows Flame. If you have Arrows Flame, you don't need Arrows. I'm one of those people that I'm a collector, so I'll add both. So at number 6, Versace Arrows. So at number 5, I have a fragrance from the house of Lalique. I was tossing back and forth whether Lalique was considered niche or was considered designer. In my opinion, it's designer. But this fragrance happens to be what I would consider niche quality, so does it belong on the list or not? Well, it's here, and I'm gonna give it to you. And that is Lalique Or Intemporel. To me, Or Intemporel is probably one of the best tobacco fragrances out there. There's days where I've worn it and it doesn't last much. And there's days that I've worn it and I smell it the next day on me. So, I don't know, it's kind of like a hit or miss. But I do love the scent profile. And that's why I have it at number 5. It's a very elegant tobacco fragrance. Definitely check it out if you get a chance. Number 5, Lalique Or Intemporel. At number 4, the compliment beast, the lady killer, the panty dropper. You've heard so many terms about this fragrance, it's almost hysterical, but hey, it deserves a spot and it deserves to be in everybody's collection. It took me 3 times of smelling it before I decided to pick it up, but I'm glad I did. And that is Dior Sauvage EDT. This is an aromatic fougere that is made in a modern twist. It has been super successful. It is a super compliment getter. It is probably played out, but it is still, to me, a very nice fragrance. So it gets in here at number 4 on my fall list, Dior Sauvage EDT. At number 3, another very popular one that you probably keep hearing about, but again, it still has one of the best scent profiles that I've ever put my nose on from a designer standpoint. And that is Jean Paul Gaultier's Ultra Male. This one, it's a fall fragrance all in all, because fall you go apple picking, pumpkin picking, so on and so forth. Well, this doesn't have the apple, but it has pear. And the pear note and the sweetness and that whole DNA from the Jean Paul Gaultier La Male fragrances, it is a wonderful fragrance to have. Again, it's probably for a younger person, but it's still a great fragrance. At number 2, from the house of John Varvatos, John Varvatos Vintage. Why vintage? Well, I tend to gravitate to a lot of these old man smells. A lot of people will say, well, I am one of the older reviewers probably in the community, and that's why I like fragrances like this. And there are certain reviewers that I tend to like what they like because they like these type of fragrances. This fragrance is more of a modern take, but it is in the vein of those classic 80s fragrances, and hence the name vintage. But again, it's a good staple, and it is one of those fragrances that if you were the one wearing it all the time, people will remember it as your scent. And it can be a signature scent. So at number 2, John Varvatos Vintage. So for the fall, number 1 on my list, Designer 2019. It's a fragrance that pretty much started this whole thing for me. Now I say started this whole thing for me, it started my Instagram journey, my YouTube journey. I went into Sephora looking for a new fragrance because at the time I only had 5 bottles in my rotation and I wanted a new fragrance. I watched some reviews and I was going in with the wholehearted decision that I was gonna go get Dior Sauvage because I kept on hearing how great it was, and great it was. And I smelled it for the first time and I wasn't sure. So then I started testing other bottles and I ended up walking out with this one. So that's why this one's number 1 and probably will stay at the top or near the top of my fall list for years to come until 10 other fragrances can oust it. And that fragrance is Givenchy's Gentleman Only Absolute. Now this has been called Christmas in the bottle, but to me I've used it pretty much all around. I've never had a problem wearing this one. Mostly if I wear it in the hotter weather, I wear it at nighttime as a date fragrance or something like that. So, but to me, it's just a great fragrance, and it was something that I gravitated to, something that pulled me in when I was testing the fragrances that day. And that was the first purchase that started the purchasing of the collection that's behind me. So, please like this video, comment below, let me know what you think, let me know what some of your favorites are, and if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And remember, If you smell good, you feel good. Have a nice day.